Okay, so I'm getting ready to wrap things up for today, and I thought I would just do one more update video to show you what I've done today. And this is the game so far. So these blocks here represent resources that the player should collect, and the player can actually move around the screen now. And you'll notice too that when the player moves, if we put the mouse cursor at the center of the player, they're able to move a little bit faster than the camera. That type of movement is called interpolation. Gives a nice smooth transition instead of just locking the player's position to the camera's position, the camera's position to the player's position. And we can actually interact with things in the world. So like this resource over here, we can move it around, bump into it, push it. Go ahead and see if we can push it over near, or see if we can get it to bump into this one. Oh, just barely missed. It's moving kind of fast now. That would be hard to... Alright, let me try again. Just to show you that things are actually, the physics simulation's working, things are interacting with other things. Behind the scenes, the game does track what collides with what, so when all these objects collide with each other, it does know that they're in contact with one another, and it keeps track of that information. Right now it's just kind of invisible behind the scenes, ones and zeros being turned on and off. So I haven't done anything with it yet. Now I don't know how the player is going to actually collect the resources yet. I don't know if I want them to shoot at them and blow them up and then collect their drops, or nudge them over to a certain location on the map to collect them. I haven't decided that just yet. It's something I'm working on. So let me show you kind of briefly what was involved in getting that to work code-wise. So these green files here are ones that I added. The blue ones are files that I've made modifications to. So I added this resource component. Right now it just has a single value, which basically just determines how valuable that resource is to the player between 0 and 1. 0 meaning it's a useless resource, something that wouldn't have any drops if you blew it up, think like an asteroid or something. You blow it up and it just disappears. 1 meaning it's very rare and highly sought after, kind of like diamonds are in Minecraft, that kind of thing. And that's all it has. It doesn't have any other properties. I'll probably have to add different shapes and sizes, different textures and things, but that's something to worry about down the road. Just using some boxes for representation right now is good enough. On the player, I added a few things. We have the acceleration and maximum speed or velocity. Those are exactly what they sound like they are. That's how quickly the player can move. That's the fastest they can move. So these things are adjustable, so as the player progresses, they'll be able to upgrade and move faster and be more maneuverable, that sort of thing. And then we have a camera movement system that I added. This is where that interpolation takes place right here. Instead of just locking the camera to the player's position, it kind of tracks them. And yeah, so this alpha value is kind of a percentage between where the player is and where the camera is, and kind of the percentage of how far away they should be right then. And then the lerp function here, short for interpolation, just uses some basic addition, subtraction, multiplication to figure out where to put the player or the camera. And then I have the player movement, which just uses the WASD keys to determine how much force to apply to the player to get them to start moving in the direction that we want. And then we synchronize the angle that they're facing with their current velocity. So we're always facing the direction that they're moving. And that, of course, means that even if something knocks into them and sends them flying across the screen, they're just going to be facing the direction they're moving. I'd like to change that to where, when it's multiplayer, especially if one player shoots another player and they go spinning off across the screen, they don't just face the direction that they're they're moving, but they actually spin around out of control, and the player has to regain control in order to start moving them around again. But that's something to work on down the road. And so I'm stopping today, at least on adding new features, because I'm falling behind on my testing for this. I haven't written tests for some of these things. You'll notice there's only 2 systems that have tests, and there's 4 systems total, so I need to test those things and before I start adding more code. I don't typically test my code after I add it. That's kind of a bad strategy. It's better to test the code while you're writing it, or write the tests and then write the code, but you know, I'm making a game, and this is supposed to be for a weekly game jam, so testing isn't top priority. So that's all I've got today, and I will give you another update tomorrow when I have more to show.